All right, guys, it's time to read some Wolong reviews, man. Something just told me to just check to see what the community's saying about the game. It's weird because it does have a 2.9 stars, meaning that a lot of the reviews are like unfavorable, but looking at it, it looks like it's majority 1 stars, majority 5 stars, and not many in between. And I think what's really happening is people pretty much running into the first boss and realizing he's a problem. So let's go and talk about these Wolong reviews, man. All right, so we have Debido Shinsei. He says, dude, he gave it 5 stars though. He says, dude, what the F? Why the first boss turns into Godfrey at the start of the game? That hurts. Feels like they got beef with the community. Amazing, but now PGNX Plagu 3 says, amazing, but after the first boss, it gets better, but good God, that first boss was horrid. The Ripper07 says, jiggle physics, do I need to say more? Wow. Okami Thorn with the 2 stars, 2 out of 5 stars. He says, the AI doesn't help. He says, died 36 times to. He says, died 36 times to the first boss as the AI companion watches me fight him by myself. Get behind me, you're hurt. That's what he says. That's what the AI says. And he stands still doing nothing. Now, I will say this is true. Matter of fact, believe it or not, in the other boss fights and the more companions you get and you summons them into the fight, they actually do help. They actually do help, but with the exception of the first boss, like in later fights, the AI companions does help you. They do something. They try to, do some damage. But the first boss fight with that companion, he really just sits there and let you rock and lets you get knocked out, and he does not assist you. And it's true, he does says, "Get behind me, you're hurt." Every time you're at the last quarter of your health. Like I said, man, a lot of these reviews are probably because people have not gotten past the first boss, which is technically the tutorial. Technically, neat. Once you get past the awkwardness of the controls, it's not that bad. But personally, the first boss in any Souls like or light in this game's case should not have multiple phases. You want to ease players in, let them get more items, equipment, and XP before you give them the CBT. I do not know what CBT is, but shout out to Keaton Man for his insight. Sam Nutt says, great game, but honest opinion, I've never do reviews, but I had to do this for this game. Whoever decided to give you a first boss fight after training should be fired. But whoever gave the okay to give the boss a second stronger phase after you beat him is psychotic for allowing that. I've never gotten so angry at a game where I feel the need to throw my Xbox and break it. I'm at the point now where I think I'm going to give up gaming because of this alone. Sam Nuts gave this 5 stars. That might be an error. He probably meant to give it like no stars or like 2 stars. But I definitely felt this way. The recording that I have of me fighting that first boss is not a good representation of how I actually felt like later on into that fight for sure. Raymer says, great game, and he gives it a 2 stars. He says, it's a fun game and it has potential, and I'm a huge Dark Souls and Sekiro fan. I would say the second phase of the first boss was unnecessary nonsense considering you just began and have no gear. Whoever decided on that is definitely unintelligent and should be fired. They cost you guys a lot of bad reviews and you had a lot of players quit before they could even begin. Major L on their part. Now, the first boss is pretty tough, pretty difficult, and according to these reviews, a lot of people quit at the first boss possibly at the second phase or even before that second phase. And just looking at the headlines and the titles of these reviews, it pretty much reveals that. Ubisoft, bro. Wow, that's actually an intriguing name. He says Ubisoft, bro. 3 stars. It's good, but there's a lot about this game I like, but it needs way more ways to customize the HUD and the particle effects. There's so much going on. There's so much crap going on in the center of the screen that it gets in the way of fighting. Why is the health bar in a 42 meter placed in front of my character legs? Let me move them. When I was fighting the giant ape, there was a paragraph of text that stretched from the top left to the center of the screen. Enter the fight. Every time I blocked view of his head for half of the fight. On a positive note, this game did get me back into superior game Neo, so thanks for that, Team Ninja. Wow, these some interesting names, man. Charles Broccoli, like literally the vegetable broccoli, but I get it, Barkley. First boss is BS. He says, I want to like the game, but can't even beat the first boss, from someone with the hundreds of hours in Souls and Elden Ring. Now, let me clear this up for you guys, right? Overall, games like Elden Ring, Bloodborne, Sekiro are overall harder than Wolong. Wolong has about, so far, and I think I'm probably at the tail end of this game, so far of all the bosses I face, there's about 3 bosses that people will deem unbeatable. And that's the first boss. That's the first boss. That's Lubu, which he's like the 10th boss. And then there's this other boss who has this giant electric sword where he literally beats you. He has unblockables, but he has moves that aren't considered unblockables that takes you out in one hit. People, if you make it that far, yeah, that's where people gonna struggle. But I feel like if you don't quit by the first boss, then you're gonna quit by Lubu. And if you don't quit by Lubu, you're quitting by I don't know his name, but the electric boss. No, V8C8 says first boss needs to chill. I've died to this refrigerator swinging a durian on a stick too many times. True Beto 6 says first boss is OP. It was fun until the first boss transforms with no checkpoint. He's ridiculously hard. LOL, like damn, I'm trash, I guess. Tutorial mega boss with he's Ignatz IG Nadas Vita, whatever. With the 1-star review, he says tutorial mega boss. He says, if you're a Souls fan and a Moscow, what the heck does that say? A Masagus I'm sorry guys, I don't know what that word is. He said, you'll love this game. Tutorial first boss with 2 forms and the need to play perfectly without making a single mistake will push your patience past its limits. Whomever came up with the skill cap check on the first boss of a tutorial mission needs to be fired. So it looks like, again, a lot of people quitting on the first boss. Dodge and parry shouldn't be the same button. I think my friend Lord Addict said, I think this is his complaint with the game too. Dodge and parry shouldn't be the same button. I guess I really don't mind. 2 stars. Wee Choi says first boss. The first boss is ridiculous. I get difficult, but this is just plain stupid. It's going to drive a lot of people and money away. Some of the worst game design of all time. Let's read this, man. He says, having beaten 2 of the bosses so far, I can say that this game is relentless and will absolutely put off so many people, and I would not blame them at all. The first fight against Zhang Lang is definitely overkill in terms of difficulty. You essentially have to play perfectly or be destroyed. The game also has a massive emphasis on grinding with the moral system, especially it is what can make or break a boss fight for you, but that means you need to do tedious enemy farming to raise morale. I love the weapon variety and the movesets plus martial arts and the setting, but I definitely sense artificial difficulty with this one. Parrying is absolutely required, probably even more than Sekiro, because you can't be as offensive in this game. It feels like a game with a somewhat lost identity. I can actually respect his review. He gave this 1 star, but he had some good valid points there. And I think, you know, once people get over some of these boss fights and get that satisfaction of winning, there's something to redeem here. The game does have a redeeming factor. I can't pronounce his name, but he says 2 stars, review after approximately 6 hours. Now, just let you guys know, I have about 30 plus hours in it. I'm going towards 40 hours. He says review after approximately 6 hours, and this is what he has to say. He says, I like the feel of this game. Mother of all that is holy, this game's physics and combat feels so satisfying a majority of the time. But what kind of BS system has been put in place by the insane game developers? They want to punish you on a loss like Dark Souls, but instead of just losing your level up currency and being punished traditionally, they decided to go a step further. They reduce your power to a minimum. Granted, that increases you. They reduce your power to a minimum. Granted, that increases as you unlock more base camps after each death, and then give it to the end. Oh, I'm sorry, because this is actually true. This is actually true. Hold on. They reduce your power to a minimum. Granted, that it increases as you unlock more base camps after each death, and then give it to the enemy that killed you. Not too sure if it can stack. I know you pride yourselves on making difficult games, but this is just difficult through terrible design. If you want to feel like a god tier samurai, this game might be for you. It just wants you to quit. It's closer to Sekiro than Souls, but the game doesn't feel executed well. If you like this game, great, but it seems like most people don't. People are afraid to say they don't like games because get good. It's just sad. Now, I can actually respect that review because he did bring up facts that are in the game that people may not. When you do get killed, you can get killed by like a specialty, character or a mid boss, or just like a higher level regular dude with an annoying ass spear. And depending on what his level is and all the stuff that you grinded, everything, depending on your morale rank, you lose to the person that killed you. So you're going to have a harder time killing him the second time around because now he's even a higher rank. I get the system. It works. It hasn't been, I don't think it's been done in other games, but I can understand when people have frustration with a system like that. Epic Nova Dog says first boss in Feng Shi. What the hell? No matter how much I grind, his second form is too OP, bro. Needs a mega nerf. I can't do anything without him eating and gobbling me or putting his big ass on me. It's ridiculous. Okay. 3 stars from Vic the Slick G. He says, I lost patience. Okay, don't get me wrong. I love hard difficulties, but not extreme chaos or nightmare, which is what this game is. I had to level up to 10 and I barely beat the first boss. Second level, all the enemies are even tougher. This game forces you to team up or get 3-shotted by a mere soldier. You guys gotta nerf this game a bit. I can't believe I'm complaining like a noob, but this game took 4 hours for 1 level. A missed opportunity. This game's good ideas here, setting a nice change, but my god, the parry mech. It's not like other DS games. You can't choose how you want to play. It's parrying or nothing, and parry mechanic seems inconsistent for most people. Okay, I like parrying systems, especially if it's done right. Sekiro, I think, had a good parrying system. It's a lot of games that had a good parrying system. Even some like games that aren't very popular had a good parrying system. This game does have a good parrying system when it works. It's satisfying when you pull them off, but it is inconsistent. Now, there is RPG elements, different things that you can level up to increase your parrying efficiency. That is like, so there's outfits you can wear, there's gear you can get, and there's level points you can get that assists with the ability to parry. So by the time that it was time for me to beat the first boss, I started over leveling my I started throwing all my stuff into health and to Earth, vitality and Earth, and Earth, gives you like the ability to parry efficiently. And when it came time to the point where I knew I could beat the second, like the first boss in both phases, during the time it came to me beating him. When it was time for me to beat him, he didn't hit me anymore. I literally parrying everything to the point I probably over parried where I probably should have blocked. I probably should have blocked at times when I was parrying. But it got to the point where he couldn't land a hit on me. Now the thing is about that is like as I was grinding and building my character up, and at the point I know how to parry. I know when to parry in this game, but that inconsistency does come in, and it's like, and I'll ask myself, why didn't I parry that if I knew I did everything right when the attack was coming at me? So there is some truth to be told to be there. B button is all that matters, which is I'm all about 2/3 through the I'm about 2/3 through the game. Like to throw a lot of different mechanics at you: weapons, armor, spells, elements, trees, divine beasts. None of them really matter. In boss fights, you still take crazy damage and do pitiful damage, no matter how much you upgrade. Um, spells do no damage, even if it's the opposite element. You basically parry perfectly 50 times a boss fight, waited to stagger them for some damage. Mess up a couple times and it's a good game. Really wanted to like this game, but the whole game is just about pressing B. No real story to save it. Either tutorial boss was the hardest so far, like everyone is saying, makes no sense. He also brings up a good point with his 2-star review, where there's been fights where I switch up my elements. Like obviously, if you're fighting fire, you want to no bring in a lot of ice water elements. If you're fighting electric, maybe earth elements. If you're fighting water, maybe electric elements, or you know what I mean. So but I did find that it didn't really make too big of a difference. Now divine beast I think helped me out in a couple of things. Now I sort of stick with one, and the one that I've been sticking with is the one that you get the snake, where the snake comes out and refills your health, and everybody around you health, because that's literally because it usually comes in handy when I'm dealing with difficult boss and they're about to take me out. I'm out of health valves. That's literally one shot I got to like fill up from the beginning. um and but yeah, this is actually legit. Like it's more important that you parry in this game. um the damage, the bosses, they have, obviously large health bars, and it feels like the damage you're taking is minimum compared to what they do to you. Like I said, later in the game is this guy that has like this electric sword, and he activates his divine beast maybe 3 times with it. Every other hit he activate his divine beast, and he has moves that aren't considered unblockables, that can hit you, that can kill you in one shot. Like I said, if you make it that far, a lot of people may quit there depending on their skill gap. But why? Why give us hundreds of armors if they're all shit and look the same? I'm not gonna lie, I'm not even gonna read anymore. I have 500 pieces of gear, and I've only used about 3 or 4 in my all 40 hours. And the likes, the armor that I got on now, I don't think I'm taking it off anytime soon because I have not picked up anything stronger in the last 30 hours. So I was better off literally just maxing out the gear that I currently have. So yeah, you get a lot of gear in this game, and you're not going to use half of them. Frustrated. I'm a vet for games like Sekiro and all the Dark Souls games, Elden Ring and Monster Hunter. This game is hard. I'm still on the tutorial level and made it to the first boss and got clapped. Was not surprised, so I did what the game suggested and traveled to the practice area. When I tell you I have been stuck on the counter for the lame zombie for over an hour, the window for counter is either insanely small or my reflexes just aren't up to par for the game, or it is very broken. I will try a little longer, but I feel like the counter is near impossible to get good with. Update: battle arena practice is broken. Started a new game and a counter works fine. Yeah. I struggled in the practice arena too for some reason. I do better. I don't know why I did, but first boss is trash. How to enjoy this game? Um, Okay. First boss is stupidly hard. Uninstalled, really bummed. Why? Would it be good? But so there's just tons. Parry simulator. Somebody so tons of reviews. Well, I gave up. I gave up with the first boss. Very OP, so not my type of game for sure. Enjoyed the Souls like frustrated players better going back with Atomic Heart and the Sexy Fridge. Potential, but the game is great mechanics, visuals aren't bad. You know what I mean? Couldn't beat the first Tiger. Not oh yo, the first Tiger. Now, this game has like randomly there's these like punching tigers that have like some crazy ass Floyd Mayweather hands that box you up. You either got to parry or you got to block, but they can be difficult depending on the levels. But I struggle with them early, but once you beat one, you're good. The problem is with those tigers is when they throw them at you at the start of a level when you're back at zero. That's when you're gonna have a real problem there. Unforgiving. I feel dumb. Struggle with the first boss, but once I figured it out, changed everything. Now level 50 and love it. Easier than Sekiro by far. Tons of cool stuff after that awful boss. Co-op helps too. Two big bouncy stars. Harder than Elden Ring. It's not harder than Elden Ring. It's just the first boss, man. Terrible. Artificial difficulty does not make a good game. Noob mode. Too hard for me. Died 20 times at the first boss. Okay. Yeah. So what I can get. Hold on, let me read this. Don't waste your money on a game within the first 10 minutes. Pitch you against a boss that has you are very unprepared to fight. I'm a Dark Souls fan, so used to difficult, but this is ridiculous. Also want to like the game, but I'd be pissed if I paid for this garbage game that has you locked into the demo size area with 10 minutes of exploration and are then boom. No good gear or weapons to collect, no access to online help, just you and the in-game boss. Why would anyone pay for a season pass to all your time farming easy to beat mobs? All right. So the summary of this all is that a lot of people that reviewed this game, that played this game, dropped the game after their first boss. They dropped the game after the first boss. I damn near almost dropped the game after the first boss. But once you get after that first boss, it's smooth sailing. I think the next 9 bosses are fine. There's going to be some people that people struggle with, but there's an end. You can figure like, okay, I can see how to beat this boss. There are harder bosses than the first boss. There's Lubu, who I think is Lubu. I don't know why I had so much time. I can probably, if I fight him again, I think I'll have an easier time. But he was very hard. I think I died to him. I spent like literally. Lubu actually caused me to not meet the embargo of this game. The boss after Lubu, he's a couple. Is actually the electric boss, man, with the electric sword. I think he actually is harder than Lubu. Um, I beat him quicker than it took me longer to figure out Lubu. That's the thing. That's what makes Lubu hard. It took me longer to figure out Lubu than it did the electric dude. I figured out the electric dude fairly quickly, but I couldn't beat him. He seemed unbeatable because he had several moves that were one shots, and he would kill me on moves that weren't unblockables. They were like, but the thing is, his moves would take up the small gaming space you have, so he'll electrocute the whole entire ground. There's no way for you to move. There's no way for you to parry. You just kind of have to make sure you're not in the way of his swing. And then he like summons his divine beast several times within a small window of time, which is like a bit excessive. But yeah, man, a lot of people did not enjoy Wolong's first boss, and a lot of people dropped the game after the first boss. And like I said, if they didn't drop it after the first boss, they're definitely dropping it by Lubu. And a lot of these people don't even mention Lubu or the electric dude that I fought, because they probably didn't make it to him. But that's the video. Hope you guys enjoy it, man. Peace.